CD Projekt RED have gotten what is probably most accurately described as an entire boatload worth of awards for The Witcher 3 and its expansions, very deservedly so, might I add, and of course they are one of the most well-respected and well-loved developers in the gaming scene, and again, quite rightfully so, and it seems they have been recognised by another very different way, but one that is very interesting nonetheless. Now, basically, there is a fund granted by the National Centre for Research and Development, which basically gives funds to prominent Polish game developers, and CD Projekt RED actually got the biggest cut of this 116 million PLN fund. Now, they actually submitted 4 proposals to the NCBR, which were all approved, as well as an additional proposal for GOG.com, which is focused on the creation of, quote, generic support cross-platform multiplayer gaming software for popular consoles and operating systems. Now, you might be wondering, well, how much did they get? Well, they are going to be receiving 30 million PLN, which is roughly $7 million. And I do have a bit of a statement here from Adam Kaczynski, whose name I probably just butchered, so my apologies there. And he's the president over at CD Projekt RED, and he said, quote, developing video games is a hyper-innovative activity, but also ones which carry substantial financial risks. Involves continuous R&D work and requires much experimentation and prototyping along the way. The Game In programme, a fruit of our industry's collective efforts, will, in the coming years, enable Polish developers to carry out nearly 40 projects worth 191 million PLN. I'm confident that the resulting innovative solutions will further elevate the quality of Polish video games and enhance our competitiveness on the global stage. Indeed, our industry now has the potential to become the champion of the modern Polish economy. And we also have some really interesting insights into what exactly CD Projekt are going to be using this impressive fund to achieve. And their 4 proposals were focused on some very interesting game development goals. Now, the first of which is city creation, which is described as comprehensive technology for the creation of live, playable in real-time cities of great scale, based on the principles of artificial intelligence and automation, and taking into account the development of innovative processes and tools supporting the creation of high-quality open-world games. There's also got seamless multiplayer, which is comprehensive tech enabling the creation of unique gameplay for many players, taking into account the search for opponents, session management, replication facilities, and support of a variety of game modes, along with a unique set of dedicated tools. Next up is tech for providing a unique film quality RPG with open world, also taking into account innovative solutions, process, and unique set of dedicated tools. And finally, animation excellence, which is tech enabling a significant increase in quality and production of complex face and body animations for open-world RPG games, also taking into account innovative process solutions and a unique set of dedicated tools. Now, of course, The Witcher 3 is pretty damn famous for having some really, really good animations, especially facial animations. You know, normally when you sort of got a conversation system and an open-world RPG, the conversations can feel quite robotic, and the people you're speaking to don't really feel all that realistic. But in Witcher 3, that's not the case. They clearly put a soul-crushing amount of effort into making these NPCs and characters that you speak to more real with their facial animations and just overall animations, as well as, of course, amazingly detailed cities. But the fact that they push with this, of course, shows that while that is a great standard to have, there is perhaps more to achieve, technology to make that process a bit easier, perhaps a bit more streamlined, perhaps even more powerful, continuing to make advancements in these fields of which they're already exceeding. Now, the most interesting thing out of all of those things that I discussed is probably the seamless multiplayer. Now, of course, at the moment, CD Projekt RED don't have a game that has any form of multiplayer. Does this mean that we can expect Cyberpunk 2077 to have it, or does this mean that the game beyond that, whatever it happens to be, is going to have seamless multiplayer? Possibly. And we've seen seamless multiplayer work pretty damn effectively with games like, say, Dark Souls is probably the most famous example, but even more recent examples like Watch Dogs 2, where they have entirely optional but they're seamless multiplayer where you jump into a world, you help someone out with their game, or you invade them, that sort of thing. So it could be those sorts of mechanics where you even summon someone to help you, or someone can jump into your game and help you, or invade you to cause problems, that sort of thing. Dark Souls / Watch Dogs style mechanics. And while those two games are probably the best examples of them, and of course achieve them pretty damn well, Clearly CD Projekt believe that there's more that can be done there, perhaps, you know, more seamless integration, eyeing out some of the problems, seeing what else can be achieved in that space. So this does point to some of their games in the future, whether or not that's Cyberpunk, I don't know. I would kind of doubt it. I would assume that's already being worked on. Having a seamless multiplayer feature. And of course the focus on open world RPG, hardly a shock for CG Projekt. Does this point to more Witcher games? Possibly, but I would assume they would want to move away from that franchise, or maybe not. You know, maybe after they've done Cyberpunk they want to go back to Witcher. Either way, no matter what it happens to be, their next open world RPG, even assuming that of course some of this isn't applying to Cyberpunk, and it very well could, is going to be very interesting, and is probably going to continue to push technology forward and be the bastion example for some of the best animation and world design that we've seen. Just very quickly, we also have a few other developers that of course got some funding. We also have Flying Wild Hog getting some money to, well, that they're seemingly related to the development of Roadhog 2, the new engine that we saw in Play for Shadow Warrior 2. Techland have received 2 grants. One is which is going to be used for developing a prototype for an action RPG set in an original fantasy world in a first-person perspective using DX12. CI Games are best known probably for Sniper Ghost Warrior 3, and they have something working on algorithms, artificial intelligence, ambient sort of player in the crowd, herds of animals, that sort of thing. So more open world-ish stuff from them, possibly. Hard to say. Those researchers could be for anything. We also have the Farm 51, which are best known for Deadfall Adventures and Get Even, and that's for photorealistic 3D graphics, as well as other things, as well as Bloober Team, the guys behind Layers of Fear, and they are using this funding to they have received to develop a quote self-learning automatic system modelling personalised replayability, real-time gaming within the horror genre based on the interpretation of the reaction and the player psychology. So basically, in the TLDR of all that sort of word salad that I just spat out, is an AI whose purpose is to learn your psychology through your actions and increase replayability by presenting different scary situations or just situations in general based on your actions in the previous playthrough and giving you new challenges in the next playthrough. Now, this is something that has been attempted before in that Silent Hill game, Shattered Memories, I believe it was, where they tried to sort of psychologically profile you, but that was more of a sort of questionnaire more than anything. It wasn't an AI. So if this is actually well implemented, it could actually be really, really interesting and make sort of multiple playthrough things a bit more dynamic and a bit more organic based upon your actions as a player. And of course, you can very much try to game the system and see what actually would happen if you do the opposite thing to what your instinct tells you to do. So some interesting stuff from CD Projekt as well as the other developers. I'm very, very interested to see what actually results from this. I'm curious if any of the things they're researching will be applying to Cyberpunk. I doubt it, but it could. Or if it's just going to be for their games beyond that. We'll have to wait and see, unfortunately, but still very interesting stuff indeed. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.